Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. It is Monday morning and things are just going from bad to worse. Everything's escalating. Public is baying for blood. The palace is trying to put out like they've done everything they can. The apologists continue to pivot, continue to be on every show possible. They're pulling out all their contacts so they can get their word out how they were duped. If they'd have only known, you know. And then you've got other apologists in the media, even in the network news in Britain, you know, that come out and say, well, we have to say Andrew's never been convicted of anything, never been charged with anything. There's no proof. He claims the picture's fake. He claims he never met Virginia, though there's photographic evidence. The matter of $13 million to a person you've never met, and now we have leaked emails. And in that leaked emails, we have information that Andrew went to his security guys and said, look, Virginia Giuffre, here's her social insurance number. Here's her, I want you to dig up some dirt on this kid. For somebody you didn't know and never met, that's kind of an odd thing to do. Now, there's questions of where the leaks are coming from. Where are the leaked emails coming from? Well, there's only one obvious choice, and that is Ghislaine Maxwell. She's the keeper of all the dirt. She knows where all the bodies are hidden, so to speak. She's trying to cut a deal. Some people don't even think she's actually in prison anymore. That behind the scenes she's cooperating. The level of information in these emails, you know, who else would have access? I really think that she is the source, and there's something going on there behind the scenes as well. And but you know, either way, Andrew's well and truly hooped. Now, you do have some people in the media, and I've heard it, saying, you know, come on, he can't use his Duke of York title, he can't use his HRH, he can't use his KG, Knight of the Garter, which he sometimes signs, you know, puts after his name. And because of and they've used this excuse, because Andrew is so high-born, just taking away the use of these titles is such a humiliation to him that you can't even imagine. What are you going to do? Are you going to torture the guy? You going to kick him out of his house, tell him he can't ride his horses? This is, yeah. Any other guy that has been involved in this kind of thing for decades, there would have already been an investigation. And if things were found, he would have been prosecuted, regular guy. But no, he's a prince, and I said it yesterday. There are a group of people that want investigations to be done, especially now with the information that it is reported that Andrew involved his security guys and the Met Office to try to dig up dirt on Virginia, and that he was in possession of her social insurance number for some reason. Those are actionable, probably crimes, right? And they're saying, there's calls to investigate this. And I've said it before, any investigation into Andrew, it'd be like having a fist fight with yourself. Because you've got, who do you got involved? You have the Met Office, you've got the Palace, you've got Andrew's personal security at that time. You have the government today. All of these things. All the while during the time Andrew was probably acting, I think, as an envoy for the government, or he was doing his pitch the Palace scheme, both of which any overlapping information, and the Palace is really good at this. They'll say, security concerns, state secrets. We can't say who Andrew was speaking to over there because, so they're going to be, even if somehow an investigation is improved, it is going to be hampered by the Palace, by the government itself, by the Met Office, by the intelligence agencies, by his security personnel, because, state secrets or whatever. We're never going to hear it. We're never going to hear the truth. The Palace hides documents for hundreds of years. They are not subject to the same discovery rules like Freedom of Information Act. I don't know what it's called in Britain. But yeah. No, the members of the royal family aren't subject to the same rules as everybody else. So any kind of an investigation is just going to go nowhere, I mean, we've seen it with lesser roles. Remember when Meghan had to testify in court about when the book came out, and no, she didn't have any involvement in the book, and no, she didn't talk to anybody, and then it comes out there's a whole tranche of emails between her and who was their press secretary at Kensington Palace at the time. The name escapes me at the minute. But yeah, she forgot. I think she called it, she misremembered is how they reported it. Anybody else would have called it lying in court, contempt of court. But even as a lesser royal, Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, was given a pass. You think they're going to prosecute Andrew? And there's talk about, maybe in the States, there's talk about investigations, and would Andrew be subject to that? Probably not. Probably not. The Palace could block that as well. Now, if he was stripped of everything, they'd probably have a better chance. And if the Palace stepped aside and said, go for it. But again, the Official Secret Act, all that stuff will hamper any kind of an investigation, and you betcha they're going to use that to their advantage. So it'll be a lot of dirt, and we already know he's a real unsavory guy. More will come out, as it will. And it's what I said yesterday. It's going to make the Palace look bad because the Palace is always covered for him and still continues to do so. Way back a decade ago, ABC reporter in the States, Amy Roebuck, she had done a full investigation. She had produced a whole thing on Andrew and Epstein and the whole. And it is well known now, and she's reported it herself, that from direct pressure from the palace, the network cut the story. So that's how far they will go. And as more and more comes out, the palace is going to look worse and worse. Because, it's not just Andrew. Sarah. She was milking Epstein for money. He bankrolled her for 15 years. Don't want to talk about the kids. But I mean, even, you talk about Andrew's business partners and shady deals in Saudi and all of that. Well, when they were younger, he brought his daughters with him to all these junkets overseas and introduced them to the grift. No different than Fergie getting caught selling time with Andrew. $500,000 will get you an audience with my husband. Andrew's done the same things with the girls. And because they are HRH and royal princesses, certain amount of sway, they have contacts, get things done. Who'd thunk it now? The girls are doing business in Saudi. They've just increased their father's grift. And they learned from the master. They learned at his knee how to wangle money out of rich people. That's what they do now. And that's another reason Andrew doesn't want those girls close. At one time he did, but I think the girls now know they're kind of hooped themselves for a lot of reasons. Because there's things they probably don't want you to know. There's probably things they don't want you to know. One thing that I find interesting that is noticeably absent from all these conversations, whether they're baying for blood or apologizing for Andrew, saying, he's naive, he's money hungry, he just got tangled up with a bad guy, as did his wife, and but it's not, and I've said it before, I mean, as horrific as it sounds and as ridiculous as it sounds, you might be able to talk yourself out of an association with one guy like that. Even after all these emails and stuff is coming out, and I mean, I don't know, but you might be able to, wow, I was naive, I didn't know about him. Been to all 5 of his residences several times, saw girls come and go, didn't have a clue what was going on. How about if it's not just one guy that you pal around with that's got habits like that and charges like that and activities like that? And ever heard of Peter Nygard? Yeah. He's originally from, I think, Sweden or Denmark, but he built a huge fashion conglomerate in Canada, based in Canada. It was worldwide. Nygard fashion, wealthy guy. Interesting enough, he was a pal of Andrew's as well. Interesting enough, just like Jeffrey, he had his own private island, his own private plane, his own batch of underage girls. And he's in prison on the same kind of charges that Epstein faced, right? He's the same guy. And there were visits to Nygard's Island. Several visits to Nygard's Island, not just Andrew, Sarah and the girls as well. The whole family had associations not just with Epstein for decades, but with Peter Nygard as well. You tell me, what are the chances? Just dumb luck. The two of your best buddies, two of your best financial assets, just happen to be owners of private islands with private planes that host rich people with parties on their island, and there's lots of girls and lots of talk. And it was so bad that Nygard's son, whom also had been abused, testified against his own father in court. You betcha. Yeah. You don't hear any of the apologists. Oh, he was naive. He was caught in the love of money, and he just overlooked, and he never understood what was happening. With two of his best buddies. The apologists they don't have a ground to stand on anymore. None of them. For months and months, and I've talked about it, we've had 2 years of Nygard in and out of courts, and he's in jail now and still facing even more charges. None of them bring it up. Not even the ones that are kind of, anti-Andrew, and this is a bad guy. They only mention Epstein. Take a look around. Take a look around on your news channels. Take a look around online. Nobody mentions the other guy. Nobody mentions that this just wasn't bad luck and naive Andrew, and how could this happen, and because now, we've heard stories and more emails coming out of Andrew's kind of predilections that way, and he sounded like a pretty awful person. Fit right in with these guys. Fit right in. It wasn't a fluke, guys. It was a familiarity. People of the same ilk run in the same circles. You don't have two friends like that just by accident. So this is how you can tell online the people that are at least trying to give you the truth. Whether you like them or not, whether you believe it or not, you can't come out and say Epstein, it was an anomaly. Andrew and Sarah, yeah, they're stupid, they're money hungry, they're all these things, but they didn't know. No, that excuse is gone, because you know what? These people that are now trying to shift their stories, going on all the news, and they're talking about it, and oh, if I only knew, they all know about Nygard too. I guarantee you. You never have heard any of them talk about it, because that'll just compound things for Andrew. Because, yeah, It's difficult, but you can, and it's getting harder, but you can maybe try to explain one away, not two. One's an anomaly, perhaps. Two's a habit. Years and years of continual contact and visits. It's not happenstance, it's a habit. That's who Andrew is. And the palace, and the press, and the people you listen to aren't telling you the truth, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope it was informative. Leave me a comment. I want to know what you're thinking. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.